Yes, good. This is better. Lure angling is more of a subtler form of sea fishing, especially compared to what we've looked at already of fishing off the beaches. You're using lighter lines, smaller rods. I tend to use braid as well with fluorocarbon as a leader. And you can see here I'm fishing some very clear conditions actually. This is down near Hastings. It's quite rare to have the water this clear down there. Lure fishing is more conducive to the sort of southwest, so places like Dorset, Devon, Cornwall of course, and then all the way up the west coast there you get some amazing conditions, really good for lure fishing during the spring and summer. This is great fishing here in October. So the sort of species you get lure fishing are the predatory species, your mackerel, bass, wrasse. I've even actually had a flounder on a plug as well. The idea with lure fishing is your lure is a bait fish. It might be an injured bait fish, some of them wobble, some of them are jointed. This is a jointed lure, this is a J11. They also do the J13, which would be my preference. J meaning jointed, and then the 13 centimetre size is good. This is a black minnow, we did a review of this. Another good lure, bit more for deeper, clearer water. See the hook sits on the top of the lure like that. Less likely to get snagged, and they do different varieties. You've got different tails and stuff. You'll be using the shore one, really is easy to flick out. So there's loads of different lures, ways of fishing lures. You've got a Dexter wedge, comes in different sizes. You've got things like shads and minnows, little fish imitations. Mackerel feathers as well you can use on a quite good fun on a lighter rod, and a red gill as well, which is an older design. There's some more modern lures here. This is the Mega Bass Zonk. It's done well for me this year, £20 worth. And the ZURI as well, another modern Japanese design lure. You can spend as much as you like. This is a very cheap version here. This is a surface lure, one that you would bounce across the surface. And then I tend to clip them on using a little clip like this, sometimes attached to a swivel. But the main thing is you're not tying the line directly to the eye there. This is a cheaper version. This one was a Tronics Pro, which has gone rusty, with the little ball bearings in there. So you can spend as much as you like. It is sometimes worth spending a bit more. Bear in mind you might lose a lure or two. Putting into a nice fish here. So obviously you want to cast in and around the rocks, look for the features, perhaps fish an incoming tide, something like that. This is a bass that I caught last week, and water beautifully clear. This one was actually on a J11 jointed plug, made to look like an injured fish. Nice.
Well done, sir. Lovely fish. Well done, my friend.
I've got a little popper on here. Let's give that a go. You can see it skidding along the surface. But if you're new to lure fishing, you want some good features under the water, things like, you know, boulders, weed covered rocks and things like that. If it looks like you're going to lose your lure in it, it's probably a good place to fish. In terms of rod length, I use a 7 or 8 foot rod, so it's a lot lighter than your normal 12-13 foot beach casters. Obviously I'll take a look at the reels later, and also show you some other bass I caught this week. As I say, this is a 7 foot rod. I used to do lure and plug fishing with 11 foot rods just to work the lure, but this is much better for modern lures. You need a bit of flexibility in that rod, nothing too stiff really. And you'd be amazed how close in some of these fish come, particularly the bass. We'll take a lure in about a foot of water at times. Always a chance of a wrasse here as well. This is the J11. You see how it moves, it's sort of got that jointed action. It's meant to imitate injured fish or wounded fish. Always good to give your lures a little outing and see what they actually look like, and that will help you with the speed of the retrieve. You're going to retrieve fast or slow. With the saltwater reels, you're going to want a fixed spool with the drag on the front. It's a lot easier to manage. A lot of freshwater reels have the drag at the rear, but when you're playing a fish, you can play that. You can change that with one hand as well. So as for the reel itself, always Braid. This is an X-Age 3000 type spool. I think it's a 2500 reel. Don't get too bogged down with the numbers. Always recommend going to the tackle shop for that. I use 15-pound braid. You can go 20-25-pound braid for snaggy areas as well, and you really notice the bites and the takes with braid as well. It's a great type of line to fish with. So this is quite a budget reel. This is a Shimano reel. I've also got this Daiwa one as well, and this is a similar sizing, a 2500 size reel. Again, load it up with braid, and we're going to put fluorocarbon as a leader on the braid as well. Again, you can pick these reels up. This one was just 15 quid, so you can get them quite cheaply, or you can spend a lot of money on something like this. I just tend to batter these reels around a bit, so always go quite cheap. It's a little bit more invisible in the water. And for joining the braid to the fluorocarbon leader, we use the FG knot. It's probably the simplest and the best, strongest knot to use for joining the main line to the leader. So fill the braid right up to the lip of the spool, and then fluorocarbon goes on that using that knot. Probably about 5 foot's enough. Some people like double the rod lengths. And this one here coughed out him. So it's predatory fish that we're after. That was a bass coughing up a little whiting. Look, in terms of the amount of hooks, this lure's got 3 treble hooks, all with the barbs on them, and I think that's too much. And of course it can do a lot of damage, not just to your hand but to the fish as well, so it'll foul hook other parts of the fish. So taking a bit of advice from more experienced lure anglers is suggesting maybe cut down on the amount of hooks you use, so you could perhaps lose that one. Make those hooks barbless as well, so take that barb off using some pliers, and even go to the extent of putting a single hook on the rear there as well. Sorry, go on. Beauty. Oh, lovely.
Bar of silver, well done, mate. Jobs are good, eh?
Yes, good. This is better. Doesn't always go according to plan. That hit it well. Ah! So get out there and give it a go. You'll still catch lure caught fish into November. Season starts around about June as well. Once that water starts clearing up and the fish are catching bait fish, it's a great time to get out there. Keep it nice and simple. Even a small fish is great fun on this sort of method.